Hello and welcome to the Source One podcast. Consider us your source for the latest procurement, supply management, and strategic sourcing insights, anytime, anywhere.
Hey, happy Halloween, everybody. In honor of this spooky season, I'm here at Talkin' Talent with Andy Jones. Now, usually we talk about the positive sides of things. We talk about best practices. We talk about success stories. Here, we're going to get a little spooky today on Talkin' Talent. How you doing, Andy?
I'm doing all right. I'm kind of scared. I feel kind of spooked. There's a chill in the air.
So, Andy, as a recruiter, what keeps you up at night? What are the horror stories you worry about?
Interviews. I want to make sure like my candidates represent themselves well, and they represent us well, and they don't do anything that would be kind of off kilter. Mm-hmm. I also, think about offers that are being made or offers that are in the pipeline. Or are they going to work out? Are we going to be able to maintain a strong relationship with the company that we're recruiting for? Am I going to be able to keep my candidates on board and warm? Mm-hmm. Those are the things that keep me up at night.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure in your years as a recruiter, you've seen some pretty spooky happenings. I'm wondering if maybe in the interview stage, if you could describe maybe some horror stories.
I have a couple. And let me just over the past 2 years, I've placed over 50 people, right? Mm-hmm. Which means I've had 600, probably about 600 interviews. And so the ones that stand out are obviously very few and far between. But I remember the first interview, the very first interview I ever had, and they were 20 minutes late. Showed up to the interview completely drenched in sweat, totally nervous.
I've had that happen.
Completely late, obviously didn't get the job. They thought the technical skills were there, but it's hey, you're 15 minutes late, it's a no-go. I had another interview that I met somebody on, and I met this person in the parking lot. And I'm driving up to the building, and I see somebody standing in the parking lot. And this person, he's wearing a flannel, white canvas sneakers, skinny jeans, hadn't shaved. And as I'm driving, I'm like, oh my God, this is my guy. This is my guy. So I get out of the car, and lo and behold, it was him. Mm-hmm. So he got sent home automatically. And I was just like, this isn't happening. I had someone recently take her shoes off in the middle of an interview and put sandals on.
That's spooky.
I had somebody interview at a nonprofit, not a junior level role either. Mm-hmm. And in the nonprofit organization, they deal with kids, a lot of kids with special needs. And he was in the interview and used the word stupid. What are you doing?
Yeah.
But I guess I would have rather had him use it then than actually be on the floor around kids. Mm-hmm. To use that word, I'd rather have that cut off of the pass.
Right.
And it's not even something that you would think, someone taking their shoes off. Well, that's not something you would think to have to tell somebody, hey, don't use the word stupid if you're around children that have special needs, and please don't take your shoes off. But I had another one, too, where somebody wound up, he came into an interview looking kind of I think that the suit was off, kind of wrinkled or whatever. And one of my other recruiters met him there, because they were going to be on site anyway, met him on site, and he wound up hitting on her and asking for a phone number and just staring at her the entire time. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I assume you want people to be comfortable in an interview. I mean, interviews are something that's scary for a lot of people. Nobody likes being put on the spot. How do you make sure people are comfortable but not too comfortable?
Well, I'm not a feet person either, so I don't like feet. I don't like people touching my feet. I just tell them to be professional. I mean, because when I develop a rapport with my candidates, I'm pretty lax. I'm a huge sports fan, so we'll talk sports with a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Anything that I can find that's a common ground, we'll talk. And as the process goes on, we get pretty lax, but just have to remind them to be professional. But, first and foremost, I always want someone to be themselves, because if they put on a mask in an interview to be somebody that they're not, and they get hired based on being somebody that they're not, it's not going to be a good fit. Mm-hmm. So ultimately 60, 90 days or whatever the case is, we're going to have to wind up recruiting on that again, and we're going to look kind of foolish. So, I don't do a whole lot of interview coaching other than telling them that they have to, professional dress, tell them to print their resumes out. The vetting that I've done previous to them going in should ensure that they're not going to fail it anyway. Because I want to find that good match, which is why we talk to the hiring managers for as long as we do, and we talk to the candidates as long as we do. So when they get to the stage of that interview, I don't really want to have them coached a whole lot. They need to go in and be themselves, and they're either going to be a fit or they're not.
Mm-hmm. I like that you use the phrase wearing a mask, since that ties really well into this spooky season we are in the midst of. What are some steps you take to make sure you're not talking to someone who's wearing a mask? How do you go about unmasking the true candidate? Because I think when we're applying for jobs, we all do a certain amount of building ourselves up, How do you go about removing those masks?
We talk about accomplishments, and I like to talk about how people get there. Like, how did you do that? What did you do? How did you get that? How were you able to get those savings? What did you do? You were sourcing capital equipment. Okay, so what were the negotiation levers that you used for the capital equipment? Was it the labor involved? Did it get down to the parts that were actually involved in that piece of equipment that you sourced and you knew what the prices were, so you knew what the markups were, and that you were able to still go in and negotiate it for a lower price or maybe a better on-time delivery? I don't know. It's just a lot more listening than it is talking. And I always ask about particulars. But inevitably, because it's not like you're going to talk to somebody and you're going to get them interviewed tomorrow. Like, you usually have about a week or two. So in that week or two, there's things that I look for too, like, are they returning my phone calls? Are they returning my texts? Are they returning my emails? Because quite frankly, we have this. It's my cell phone. My brand new Note 9.
Hey, it's free advertising for Samsung.
Samsung. But no, we all have this. So, we all check this. We step out of the building, we have lunch, we do whatever, but we hear an alarm, we hear something go off, we look at it. Like, there isn't a reason why I can't get, I'll call you later tonight, I'll call you tomorrow, or whatever the case is. Like, that should be pretty quickly. So that stuff kind of vets itself out.
I would imagine, in general, if an organization is taking the step to seek out a recruiter, it's a somewhat proactive gesture. But are you ever brought in because they've experienced some sort of horror story?
I would say 90% of the time recruiters are brought in, it is because
it's because of that.
Because of that. Yeah, if for whatever reason they can't find the right person, or the people they've had to completely clean house and let go. Yeah, like I said, usually when it comes to an outside search, there's some kind of horror story that's associated with that.
You've been listening to the Source One podcast. For more strategic sourcing and procurement insights every day, visit our blog, The Strategic Sorcerer. Want to provide feedback or suggest a topic for a future episode? Let us know at prrequest@sourceoneinc.com. Thanks for listening.